Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to The Real History and a special live episode we have to celebrate our 50,000 subscribers. We're up to 52,000 subscribers
52,200
at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little
Fine.
late. We're used to it taking 6 months to get 1,000. So we'll wait for people to hop in here. Hopefully, we're up to 5. If anybody has a question, hello, Lisa. If anybody has a question, feel free to drop it in the comments there. I have my laptop right here. You can't see it. I'm watching the chat. My wife's going to be sitting over in that chair on her phone in case we miss anything. She's going to be checking. So, Jared, what have you been up to?
Too much. Too much of late. I've been doing a lot of traveling. Which camera should I be looking at?
That's
All
the
right.
camera.
All right.
This is not the camera.
Okay.
It's the camera.
You can see who's the technical brains of the operation. I've been doing a lot of traveling, a lot of research, a lot of preparation for the forthcoming semester. I've been visiting historic sites in Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. I'm teaching a baseball history course this fall, and that necessitated a pilgrimage to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown. I posted a very short 60-second video, the first short I ever posted. And prior to that, this summer's just been a whirlwind. And we'll be having a lot of great footage from some of those overseas adventures, some of which Andy participated in as well. But in short, between May and right now, I've visited Sicily, mainland Italy, and then you joined for England, France, the Netherlands, Holland, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, and Austria. And so that was a Band of Brothers themed tour, and we have a lot of really great footage. In fact, we have a huge backlog of footage at this given moment.
Yeah, that's the problem. We've been on all these adventures and doing all this stuff with movie related history at the actual locations and things like that. That I'm a little behind on editing, and it's becoming a bit overwhelming. So I'm doing my best. In fact, I have a surprise even for Jared. The moment we're done going live here, our next video goes live. It's done, ready to go. And so if you want to watch our next video, it goes live the moment this is done.
And I won't spoil too much here. We're going to make it a surprise, but this was from our recent trip, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
it's a one of two. It's a two-parter. They're both different, but the same. But yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, we have a special guest.
Yes.
A very special guest in that episode that will be going live right after this.
Yeah. There's some hilarious stories with all the goings on with them. But yeah, we'll get to that at another date. All right, let's see if there's any questions here.
All right.
You guys are lower camera.
We're on the low. Sorry, Hawker. We'll comment on that later if you want to message us privately. How many times have you seen Oppenheimer?
Just once.
Yeah, and I think my wife and I might be going to watch it tomorrow night or the next night.
Oh, really?
Yep. JT Rocker would love a baseball class. Ken says this is like a cheap Chinese movie.
Yeah.
It's out of the wrong camera. Okay, well then this is the camera. I have a very expensive camera up there that it was streaming out of, and now it's not. That's good. I was like, why is the camera angle different than what I'm looking at?
Yeah.
But at least the audio is playing through the very expensive camera. This is like a cheap Chinese movie. You are right. And Chinese movies have a much larger budget than we do. Yeah, thanks, Trevor. All that, and Jared did a video chat with History Underground. You starred in several of his videos over the past 2 months or so.
Yeah, finally got to hang out with J.D. Hewitt from the History Underground this past spring. And I did 2 Gettysburg videos with him, 3 Gettysburg videos, actually. And so you can check those out on his channel. With one, we looked at a story that was very important to me that I dedicated a lot of research to, and that is the story of a Gettysburg family, appropriately named the Warfield family. And that video did quite well. I was quite pleased with it. I think it has over 250,000 views.
I only
at
saw
this
like
point.
2 haters comments in that video.
Yeah.
Dave Mack is checking in.
Hi, Dave. One of our favorites.
Here from day one.
We appreciate it.
My sister says, congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Long time coming. Very true. Love your channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Devontae. You just found out your friend was an extra in Gettysburg years ago. Extras in Gettysburg. How about that? Keep an eye on our channel.
Yes. This October, keep an eye out for something very, very special in regard to the 30th anniversary of the movie Gettysburg. One of my favorites, one of our best performing videos on this channel. And we have something very unique lined up.
And I made horrible audio mistakes during that video, 2 of them, I believe, and it's still going great. There's a horrible audio buzzing through the.
There's a lot of experimentation with this channel. It's always a work in progress, and we thank all of you for bearing with us, including in moments like this where our streaming isn't going to the right camera.
It said it was, and then it switched when it started. But yeah, I'm just some dumb guy that said, "Hey, let's start a channel," and we're making it work. Okay, I don't.
You have evolved greatly. You have really crafted your skills.
Thanks.
It's quite impressive, actually.
What do you think is the most underrated historical movie out there? Germster says.
Oh boy! Wow. An underrated historical film.
I'll wait.
There's so many that could possibly come to mind. I would say a Western that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And we haven't done enough Westerns on this channel, which some of you have pointed out. I really like the movie Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner. It lacks some of the theatrical flair that Tombstone does, which is a movie that comes out the year prior. But it's a sprawling 3-hour epic about the famous gunslinger / outlaw / lawman. And it's just really good. Like the production level is through the roof. I'm very fond of that movie, and it's often overshadowed by Tombstone.
It was Kevin Costner in his heyday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry if I'm rushing along, but I want to hit people's questions. Will the John Adams coverage return someday?
This one's from Josh. Yes, we hope that will happen. And our good friend Emily, who previously worked at Colonial Williamsburg, of course, joined us for those first 4 episodes of John Adams.
3 to go?
There's 3 to go. We do hope to resume that someday. But as it turns out, getting all of our schedules to align from a professional standpoint can be quite difficult at times.
Jared's teaching classes. She's heavily involved in the museum world. And my work schedule just sucks. And if I'm not here to set the cameras up, it just I've
gotten better.
You have gotten better. Well, we have a chance. Here's a good one. Okay. Well, we have a chance to see Jared at the D-Day event in Conneaut, Ohio next weekend.
Yes. So I will be at D-Day, Ohio, as well as this guy right here. Although I'll be more visible. He'll be in olive drab and herringbone twill.
You'll have to try and find me underneath my helmet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will be signing my books at the author tent, which overlooks the bluff at D-Day Conneaut. For those of you who may not be aware, D-Day Conneaut is a big D-Day reenactment that takes place in mid-August every year. But I will be there at D-Day, and I will be signing my books. This guy right here will be hanging out in the camp of the 4th Infantry Division.
Mhm.
And so you will have the opportunity to meet both of us.
And if you look real close and squint down at one of the Higgins boats when the ramp drops, you'll see me run out.
Uh-huh.
So
We'll probably fall at some point
yeah, probably
along the way.
I'm old. I get hot and tired, so I die. That's just what happens. Congratulations, guys. I enjoy the channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would enjoy Flags of Our Fathers.
Flags of Our Fathers. Yeah, we hope to revisit that one at some point. And one of our good friends who's an expert in Marine Corps history, I think would be a really good guest with that.
Yeah, it's a tangled subject that we'll cover someday.
All right.
If you could pick any historical subject to be a movie and miniseries, what would it be?
Yep.
Ooh, I think you've covered this in the past, so I think.
I don't know if everybody heard. So Tracy, Andrew's wife, is here with us as well. So
she's not mic'd up yet.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, if you hear a voice in the background, it's not a ghost in my house, which is a lovely early 1900s house. By the way,
yeah. This wall just had to be rebuilt.
Yeah. As it turns out, some of you may have noticed in a video that we did last year, part of this wall was gone, and that's because the plumbing that was installed when Theodore Roosevelt was president finally gave way. And so, yes, evolving set design here, real history as well.
We even got a new painting.
Yes, a new painting as well. We'll come back to that though. So one of the questions was, what topic would be a good mini series possibly that hasn't been done?
Already know what you're going to say.
Yeah. So it would be a mini series about the Iron Brigade during the Civil War. I think it's sort of the perfect Band of Brothers formula. These guys were everywhere in the Eastern Theater in the first half of the Civil War, and they just get decimated. Incredibly heroic and notable outfit. And I think it would just be a phenomenal story to follow. A regiment of guys from the Midwest as they go through the meat grinder that was the Army of the Potomac in the first half of the Civil War.
For the film Zulu one, yeah.
Will we ever cover the film Zulu someday? Absolutely. That one is on our list, and a number of you have asked for that one. And there's so many just good one-liners. Don't be a slovenly soldier. I love that one.
What we need to do is get like 2 million subscribers, and then we can just make this our full-time job and put 3 videos a week out.
It's up to you folks.
Any plans to do another watch along? That would be great.
Yeah, what would be a good one? We want to hear your comments.
And also, as an editor, would you prefer a watch along be live, or we just react to it and you watch the 2-hour video? I don't know how this stuff works in YouTube land.
Yeah. In addition to that, what sort of movie, or what movie would you like for a watch along? Feel free to share your comments in the live chat here as things progress.
Oh, we got lots of messages coming in.
All right, bear with us here, folks.
I'm a new subscriber. Can't wait to go back and watch your prior videos. Welcome, Mark.
A Bridge Too Far, and we hope to do something special for A Bridge Too Far. Something that we possibly have lined up. About a year and a half ago, I spoke at the 82nd Airborne Division Museum in North Carolina. And they actually have artifacts pertaining to a lot of the real life characters who were portrayed in A Bridge Too Far. I would love to go back there and do a breakdown with the museum director. And he can also show us artifacts worn by the people who are in the movie. So that's something I'd really like to do for A Bridge Too Far.
About a month ago, we also put a YouTube short up at The Bridge Too Far. Yeah.
Bring up the Piat.
Bring up the Piat.
Yes. We have one viewer here who is let's see, Dr. Rochter is from Tombstone, and he plans on making a road trip here. I would love to go visit Tombstone at one point. Yeah.
I got a camper. I have 2 kids and a wife and a family all wrapped up. So we have a miniature ducks and a job that takes a lot of my time. But if we can make it work, I'll take the camper out there. The chaplains and medics need a really good series. Yeah, their stories aren't told. Episode 6 of Band of Brothers did its damnedest to highlight them, and that's really all there is, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's Hacksaw Ridge as well,
Ridge.
which I have very mixed feelings about. If you haven't seen our episode on Hacksaw Ridge, be sure to view that. I find it's a very mixed bag, historically speaking. It's certainly entertaining cinema, though, and it's well crafted in that regard.
That one's worth a watch. Anytime I get to edit video Jared going, is an excellent time. I recently did a private study on chaplains in World War II. Found something really interesting. Email us.
That's from Lisa.
Yeah, go ahead and email us if you have anything interesting that we could put together into a story, even feature in a video sometime. A walk along live.
Maybe at a film location, a set shoot.
That goes along with our recent trip to Europe. I have gigabytes of footage from different locations and different places. We've been to the Blaujack. We've been to the bridges in Nijmegen. We've been to Eindhoven,
the place of the famous Crossroads assault. That was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed
Crossroads.
Yeah,
we filmed an entire video at the Eagle's Nest. It's all coming, folks. I need time.
Yeah,
I need time. So let's see. I can't wait until the series. The Masters of the Air,
the U.S. Army Air Force comes out.
We're going to try and cover that as close to in real time as possible.
Yeah.
I even went so far. I got an Apple TV subscription, and so when it comes out, I can try to get the footage. Apple's pretty tight knit with how you can.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll make do, but we're going to try to do it in sequence, not too long after each episode comes out, because there'll be a lot of interest in it, and there'll be a lot of people looking into the true life story of the 100th Bomb Group, which is the focus. And I'll tell you right now, a little bit of a heads up. If you really want to get a good sense of where the narrative of Masters of the Air is going to go, the book Masters of the Air may actually not be the best book to read, because the 100th Bomb Group is only referenced a few times in that book. And now it's a great book for the overarching story of the Army Air Force in Europe during World War II. But what you want to read is Harry Crosby's A Wing and a Prayer. And he was kind of the unit historian in the years afterward for the 100th Bomb Group. And
he was the Dick Winters.
He was the Dick Winters of the 100th Bomb Group. He was the chronicler. He was the guy who kept track of everything. And I think that book is in many ways sort of the narrative Bible of Masters of the Air. So if you want a clue as to what will be featured within that series, I think that's a pretty good clue.
And before we move on too far, real quick, maybe Dave, somebody else, let us know if our audio is good, because if it's not going through the camera I have set, make sure we're not playing out of this little tiny laptop microphone. But my grandfather was in the 82nd, St. Mary Glees. I want to go to the museum. It is amazing.
Yeah. They just redid the museum there a few years ago, and it is. In years past, it was very homespun, I think is a good word for it, but they've really upped their game, and the presentation's quite stunning.
We did. Oh, okay. It sounds good. We did 2 pieces with. Should I leave it a surprise? Or?
Yes. Okay. But we do have special content with a special guest
right there
from St. Mary Glees, and it looks at the fabled story of the paratrooper hanging from the bell tower. Oh yeah, we have some good content coming.
I kind of got lost here. So unbelievably proud of you both.
Oh well, thank you.
Been watching your channel since near the very start. Well, thank you very much, Lee.
It's 2019 film great work.
And he's complimenting your editing skills as well.
Yeah, I see that now. Sorry, I'm trying to rush through this. Well, thank you very much, Lee. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Have either of you seen the 2019 film Great War?
No, I haven't. I'll have to put that on the list. Thank you for the suggestion, Aaron.
Have you seen Damian Lewis' new series Spy Among Friends?
So the question was, have we seen the new Damian Lewis series, Spies Among Friends? I'm familiar with it. I haven't yet seen it, though. It looks like good Cold War melodrama.
What are your thoughts on the musical Hamilton?
Yes.
My wife
this would be a good one for Tracy, Andy's wife here, to chime in.
I'll make her sit down with us.
Yeah, she does. She doesn't want to join us on camera. I really like Hamilton. I haven't seen it in person. I saw it on Disney Plus, and I'll give you the same answer that I give to almost any historical film. I think it's a wonderful gateway. It's a great method for people to get interested in history, because 15 years ago, 10 years ago, when I talked about Alexander Hamilton in, let's say a freshman history class, no one knew who Alexander Hamilton was. They may have known that he was the guy on the $10 bill.
He was the guy from The Man in the High Tower that was in John Adams for 2 episodes.
Yes, Rufus Sewell is the actor. But now when you say his name, people kind of perk up and they're like, "Oh, I know that name."
Mm-hmm.
They know some of the songs, and so I think it speaks to the power of popular culture and why it's important for historians to latch onto that and to use it as a platform for discussion. And so whether it be musicals, television shows, or movies, I've always been of the mind that historians are duty bound to engage with that sort of content, to start having conversations with people. That's certainly what we try to do on this channel.
Audio is great, but Tracy sounds a bit distorted. Not a personal comment.
She's just off here in the sidelines giving color commentary.
Hang tough, Dr. Proctor says.
Thank you.
Oh, I passed.
Would you do Cinderella Man?
Oh, Cinderella Man. That's another underappreciated period film. And I've spoken with people who've lived through the Great Depression, and one or two of them have seen that movie, and they think, wow, that movie really captured what it was like to live in America in the 1930s.
So did Interstellar.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's predicting the future for us. I don't know. But yeah, Cinderella Man is a really good one. Paul Giamatti is one of my favorite actors, and he was nominated for Academy Award for that performance in that movie. So, and that's another good one to add onto the list.
All right, I don't want to leave it keep hanging in the air without getting in trouble. Is there any chance you re-upload your series on the Pacific? That's a gray area. There was I don't want to get any.
We had difficulties with that video, and unfortunately they were taken down. But we do hope to refilm them, redo them at a later point. And the production quality of it will be even better because this guy's constantly improving upon his skills.
I'll have a college degree in editing YouTube videos.
Yeah,
when this is done.
Do you play any video games? If so, do you like any historical epics like Red Dead Redemption or Mafia?
Oh, the question is, do we play any video games? I don't play any video games at all. I've never been a gamer. I'm familiar with some of them. You would be better equipped to answer this one.
I played PUBG for 3 years straight, but I every once in a while now, I'm busy editing videos, but I log on to Grand Theft Auto 5 and run around up to a roof and snipe people every once in a while. But our friend Mike, who will also be at D-Day Conneaut, he's actually like in a group, and he's a squad leader. I think he might even be a platoon leader.
Hell Let Loose.
Yeah, Hell Let Loose now. Yes. He is. A couple members of our group actually play that game religiously. And I've mentioned to him before about getting some videos of maybe where he goes around Hell Let Loose and talks about the historical accuracy of it, some things like that. So that's probably something I'm going to try to tackle in the somewhat near future.
Very good. And we have another question from Aaron Hook here. Do you have a film which has terrible historical accuracy, but you love it anyway? Oh, man.
Which one?
So
while you think about this, I'm just letting everybody know we plan on this live stream going about an hour.
Yeah.
So until 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. Another half hour, 35 minutes here. So I guess the best way for me to answer Aaron's question, a historical film that's inaccurate, but I love anyway. I really enjoy the movie The Monuments Men. I have a real soft spot for that movie. And the reason that I do is that I love the character dynamics. I love that it's a throwback to these sort of blockbuster all-star cast adventure films of the 1950s and the 1960s. The movie The Monuments Men, I think it does a great job with material culture, with set dressing, with putting you in the scene. I think it captures the overall essence of what The Monuments Men was all about. I think it sends a great message, the value of saving art and culture. But it greatly condenses the story and the scope of the efforts of the Monuments Men Fine Arts Commission. The movie gives you a false impression that it's these 7 or 8 people who are just aimlessly wandering about Europe without any resources at their disposal, when in fact there were hundreds of people associated with that commission from multiple nationalities. And so I love the movie. Critics didn't necessarily like it. It did modestly okay at the box office.
George Clooney saw that movie.
I really just enjoy it as a fun bit of historical adventure.
That movie's the equivalent of picking up the book, The Monuments Men, and reading the back of it.
Yes, I think that's the way to put it.
It threw more focus on the arts. So I feel like that's something that's getting lost in today's culture.
Yep. Tracy said she loves the fact that it focuses on the importance of arts. So
we have a question here from Jason Jarvis. What do you think of the movie Midway? For how poorly it's up top here.
There we go.
For how poorly the director does with historical movies, he seemed to nail that one. Roland Emmerich, the director of Independence Day and Godzilla, and a number of other. So he's kind of called the master of disaster. And of course, he does The Patriot. I guess that's another movie that I cringe historically, but really enjoy cinematically.
It's just fun to watch.
It is such a good movie cinematically. I mean, it has all the right pieces to it. It has it's filmed in this lush environment. It has a great supervillain.
It's Gladiator 1,000 years later.
It's American Braveheart is what it is. But as you've seen from our episode of that, it's historically speaking, it's one of the worst movies ever made that has a big budget.
Midway. We're talking about
Midway. Yes. No, I'm just coming back to it.
All right.
But historian friends of mine have very mixed reactions in regard to Midway. Some of them appreciated the broad canvas on which that narrative was painted, showing in sequence how the early phases of the Pacific War unfolded. I'm of the mind that it bit off more than it could chew. There's just so much packed into it. Did they really need to recreate Pearl Harbor at the outset when there's been so many movies made on that
I have
already?
a very good analogy.
But in short, historians are very mixed on it. Some historian friends of the Pacific War who I know thought I did an admirable job of trying to capture the essence of it. I have other friends, though, some who actually worked for the Navy, who just thought it was a bunch of drivel. So historians are torn on that one, and I'm somewhere in the middle.
I just love it.
Okay,
it's just a good movie. But as a mechanic in trade, I liken it to I'm emptying my oil drain pan into an empty container, and it starts overflowing, and I go, oh, damn it. And that's that movie. There's just too much.
Okay. Well, speaking about excess, we have a question here about Brad Pitt World War II movies. How would we rank those? I saw a fun article a few years ago, maybe a few months ago, actually, and it weighed out which World War II characters helped win the war more, Tom Hanks or Brad Pitt? So which of their character cast listings have done more?
Well, Brad Pitt killed Hitler.
Well, his men did.
Yeah,
yes.
His unit did.
Yes.
So Brad Pitt wins.
Okay, yeah, in that regard. So for Brad Pitt, we have Inglourious Bastards, we have Fury, and we also have Allied.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so those are the three, I think, that he is in. I like Allied as a piece of spycraft cinema. I like Inglourious Bastards as a piece of historical fantasy. And I'm not a huge fan of Fury because I think this goes back to the idea of excess. The end is just so freaking over the top and ridiculous that it completely pulled me out of the first half of the movie.
It's if you just turn your brain off, Fury's great to watch. But I'm sure if you have no idea about history, you're like, oh, this is awesome. But, oh, there's a tiger tank. Let's turn, and 4 in a line just drive straight at this tiger. No, they'd run. They'd get out of there. That's what they would do.
Or at least try to maneuver rather than charge across an open field. Yeah,
I mean, there was cover left and right, but
a lot of it's just ridiculous historically.
Tom Hanks does a nice line in True Stories these days. He's come a long way since Big.
Yeah. And I think ruminating on, thanks, Dave, for that comment. I think ruminating on the importance that Tom Hanks has had in getting people involved in history, whether it be the many historical films that he's starred in or produced, all of his HBO productions, including John Adams, his involvement in the National World War II Museum, the creation of the National World War II Memorial, his involvement in veterans causes. He's right up there with Ken Burns. He's like America's history buff. And those two guys have done so much to get so many people like me interested in the past.
And he went so above and beyond during the production of Band of Brothers to make sure everything was honoring history, and not just making money for HBO.
And it did both.
Yeah.
So it showed that you could do both. So we have one from a random person here. I like that name. How do you think the gore in battles should be portrayed? Do you think you lean to the Gettysburg side with no blood and dramatic deaths, or an extremely gory anti-war approach like Cold Mountain and Free State of Jones? And I think that's a great question. And we have to preface that by acknowledging that Gettysburg was originally intended to be a TV movie in the early 1990s. And 30 years ago, you could simply not get away with the level of violence and gore that you can today. I mean, today they just slap TVMA on it and pretty much anything goes. That was not the case 3 decades ago as that movie was being made. And there's pros and cons to the levels of violence. One can certainly make the argument that the scenes in Gettysburg certainly don't capture the carnage, even if it captures the scale. It's certainly not in contrast to like Cold Mountain or Glory or Free State of Jones. But conversely, because it's so tame and because it's rated PG, that means that it is classroom friendly. I wonder like how many millions of school children have seen portions of that movie in the classroom. And once again, stuff like that can be a really good gateway. It certainly was for me as I was a youngster. So
I watched the beginning of Saving Private Ryan in school.
Did you need like permission to do so?
Yes. Yeah. It was right after 9/11. And our history teacher had us watch the opening beach scene.
Yep. Terry says, Jared turned his brain off. Is that a statement or a question?
I think you might have paused and it looked like you turned your brain off.
Oh, okay. All right.
I like Captain Phillips. That's an excellent movie. Yeah. Gary Sinise. Oh, you were talking about what he's done for history.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much directly in the history field, but for veterans themselves.
Yes.
Gary Sinise is an absolute godsend.
Yes.
He's just a powerhouse.
Yes.
He did what was the channel that did an interview with James Matteo.
The American Veterans Center.
Yeah, they just did one, I think, 2 or 3 days ago with Gary Sinise.
Yeah.
And he goes into detail about what he's done and what inspired him to do all this for veterans.
Lots of great interviews on that YouTube channel if you haven't checked it out. And also be sure to check out Gary Sinise's memoir, which is entitled Grateful American. And it is co-written by a friend of mine who we've had here on Real History, and that is Marcus Brotherton. So if you are one who appreciates Gary Sinise, I would definitely recommend that you check out his memoir. And I'm of the mind that Gary Sinise should get one of those honorary Oscars. Is when actors or filmmakers do a lot of philanthropic work, they often get an honorary Oscar, and I certainly think that Gary Sinise has warranted that.
I'll put it this way: he's certainly done more than he had to. Yeah. Sisu.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't. We live in kind of Andy and I kind of live in a cinematic wasteland where we live. Not many foreign movies play in our area. And so I really wanted to see Sisu on the big screen, especially after we visited Europe and got to see a lot of Europe.
But we will definitely be doing a first time reaction video for Sisu.
I think we have to. I definitely want to see that.
Miniseries Our World War.
Our War? Do you mean Our War? The German Band of Brothers?
Be sure to phrase the question back.
So,
have you seen the miniseries Our War?
Have you seen the series Our World War?
Yes, it twice.
Our War. If that's the German miniseries, yes, I've seen that one
twice. It's quite good.
Yeah,
it's Our World War. Then
okay. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to look into it. Lots of good suggestions here this evening.
My guilty pleasure for inaccurate but entertaining movies is Enemy at the Gate.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's very entertaining. That's for sure.
What's your favorite guilty pleasure immaculate history film?
I think they need inaccurate, which you already answered.
Immaculate history film, or
maybe like 100% accurate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on looking at the movies Fly Boys?
Well, I think you have something to say about the movie Fly Boys, right? James Franco in the World War I.
I remember I said something brutal about that movie once, but I can't remember.
You really hated that movie. Yeah.
I went on a tangent, just a tear, when I first saw that movie, and people have been bringing it up to me. I cannot for the life of me remember what I said about that.
You just really hated that movie. I saw that movie on the big screen. I was like one of 3 people in the theater who saw it. But yeah, very melodramatic, kind of a throwback to 1950s schmaltz, I think is a good way to think about it.
Restrepo.
Yes.
Was that the...
Yes, the documentary.
The Sebastian Younger?
Yes. Yeah. So...
intertwined in that history as well.
Yeah. I'm acquainted with Sebastian Younger. In fact, he interviewed me for his latest book, which is entitled Freedom. He actually drove here to central Pennsylvania to talk with me about some of the history.
Part of his book takes place right here.
Yes.
About, I don't know, quarter mile that way.
Yeah. I've met Sebastian a number of times. I'd like to think I'm fairly well acquainted with him. He may forget me entirely. I'm not certain.
And I keep hoping to have him on here for The Perfect Storm.
Yeah,
that's my dream.
Or Restrepo. But Restrepo is an incredibly powerful, searing documentary about a unit that is stationed in the Korangal Valley in Afghanistan, and it's in some ways a slog. It really takes you through the day-to-day routines and challenges. So if any of you are up for a bit of nonfiction film, the documentary Restrepo is certainly a good one.
It's very good at giving you a sense that you're there.
Yeah.
And you're intertwined. I mean, Korangal, what year was that movie made?
Restrepo came out about 2011.
09 in the Korangals when Dakota Meyer earned his Medal of Honor. So that place is no joke.
And I also met the co-director of Restrepo once as well, and his name was Tim Hetherington. He was a war correspondent I met him when I was at grad school, and I'm sad to say was killed in Libya 3 months after I met him, which was quite the shock to me.
I mean, they're not immune from danger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you considered doing books versus movies, like L.A. Confidential or To Kill a Mockingbird?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I've looked a little bit at Gettysburg and comparing it to the Killer Angels. But it's a good idea to take a closer look at some of the source material for fictional works, historical fiction works.
Our channel's going to end up with like 30 different subsets of different video types.
Yeah, our greatest challenge is a lack of time.
Yeah,
often, yes. But that's a great suggestion.
If this was our full-time job, our creativity would be going out of this world. Too Young to Hero with Rick Schroeder.
Oh yeah, and I believe that one's currently on Netflix. So yeah, and a fun bit of trivia. I haven't seen that one yet, but it is on my list, and it has been for some time. But some interesting trivia about Rick Schroeder. He's of course in another great little war movie called The Lost Battalion.
Mm-hmm. I think it might have even been the same person mentioned it.
Okay,
Dr. Boxster.
Yeah, one of the few movies that look at American troops in the last half century and their efforts during World War I. But I'll tell you what, really, really fun trivia is that Rick Schroeder was the runner-up to Damian Lewis to play Dick Winters in Band of Brothers. And he would have been perfect because he has the square jaw, the blonde hair. Yep. He looks a lot more like him.
Damian Lewis mentioned in the HBO podcast for Band of Brothers that he got invited to the tryout or the audition, and he goes and he's like, there's somebody sitting there that's just the spitting image of Dick Winters. And he goes, well, they called me here as a joke. Yeah. But I guess I think he had a confliction with a TV show he was doing, or there was a problem with chemistry, or
I think they just preferred Damian Lewis.
Yes. But he's hinted at they liked his British kind of kind of conservative, and that kind of fell in line with Dick Winters' kind of Mennonite style. Yeah. So
but imagine what could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he would have done fine.
He certainly would have looked the part.
Yeah.
Do you have any book recommendations that cover the rise of Japanese militarism prior to World War II?
Yes, I do. Yeah, and Richard Frank's book that you mentioned is a really good example of that. I teach a class on World War II in the Pacific and Asia, and the book that I have students read, it's a very concise one by Cambridge University Press called The Japanese Empire. And so that's a really good one. It's very digestible. It starts with the Meiji Restoration in the mid-19th century and takes us right up to post-war Japan, and it does it in less than 200 pages. And so it's if you're looking for a good snapshot image, check out the book The Japanese Empire.
Well, if you want to see how it's done in the movies, Tom Cruise went over and did it by himself.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The Last Samurai. Yes. Yeah.
Dave,
or Dances with Wolves in Japan, as I call it. Yeah.
Dave Mack said, I heard that Lewis just aced the audition. Well, you're closer to where it happened than we are. So I just watched The Empire of the Sun for the first time. Did Christian Bale just come out of the womb an Academy Award-winning actor?
In short, yes.
Brief story. I'm saving that movie for a rainy day. I have never seen it.
Oh, You won't be disappointed.
No, but one day when I just have nothing going on and the planets align, and at this rate, I'll be 110 years old, but I'm saving it for a rainy day.
Yeah, and I think it's a phenomenal film. I think it's one of Spielberg's underrated movies. Critics, though, didn't really take it seriously at the time because after all, this guy was known for Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. and all these sort of kid-friendly sci-fi feel-good movies. And both that movie and The Color Purple, which I think are both really good movies, I think critics of the time saw it as Steven Spielberg's trying to get attention and look as a good dramatic director, and he's picking this serious, somber subject matter to try to do it.
But was that before or after 1942?
1942? You mean 1941?
1941, yeah, sorry.
1941 was early 1980s. I forget the exact year, but those came right after 1941. Okay. So I think
I was wondering if maybe they were like, oh, another World War II movie by this comedy guy.
Well, I think after Jaws and the success of all that, I think Spielberg thought, I can't do wrong. I'm going to try a comedy. I'm going to set it after Pearl Harbor, and it didn't work.
All right.
And I think Spielberg recognized that.
The Train, the foundational and true story about the female art curator's role is fascinating. Focused solely on the French resistance activities after D-Day.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, Burt Lancaster is in that one. And that's a John Frankenheimer film, I think 1963, 1964, that comes out. And that has some overlay with the Monuments Men. There's also in short, if you haven't seen it, the Nazis put a bunch of their stolen art on a train. The French resistance try to get it back, and a French railroad conductor leads the charge, and it's this really fast-paced game of cat and mouse on the rails, in which Burt Lancaster does like all of his own stunts, which is amazing. So check it out.
I skipped our good old friend Supa Troop, who's been here a very long time. I've seen your name pop up forever. When Trumpets Fade was very good, quite overlooked. Good film featuring the 28th ID, and I have something to say about this. It came out the same year as Saving Private Ryan.
And The Thin Red Line.
And it suffered from production value, movie budget. It looks like a TV movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's an awesome story, and it's one that we're personally involved in trying to get more out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it really just never crested. It was overshadowed by those other two movies because of its being a TV movie.
Mm-hmm. And I'll add on a personal point. As some of you may know, my grandfather fought in the Hurtgen Forest, where Trumpets Fade takes place. And for the past several years, my brother and I tried unsuccessfully to make a short film about our grandfather's experiences in the Hurtgen Forest. We co-wrote a short film together. And in my mind, it was able to avoid all the tropes, and I thought it was a very accurate depiction. But unfortunately, we just couldn't raise the money necessary for it. And a continuous problem that we had is that there's a lack of name recognition. People don't know about the Hurtgen Forest, which we were trying to rectify. Yeah. But if there's any millionaires out there and you'd like to back a good project, we have a good film for you.
If Real History continues to do well, Jared and his brother's hopefully going to be helping us out here eventually. But, if Real History does well enough, we'll put every ounce of resource that this channel generates into making that happen. That is possible. So
maybe at some point in the future,
if it can happen, it will.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
We have a question here from Jim Plummer. What about Dances with Wolves? I have a real affinity for Dances with Wolves, and I think it was really groundbreaking for its time. And Kevin Costner's character serves as a very useful cinematic and historical device in that film. Because, frankly, Hollywood doesn't have a great track record in its depiction of indigenous peoples and portraying them with a degree of empathy or even sympathy. Oftentimes in the decades before that, they were the subject of these stereotypical tropes and caricatures. And Dances with Wolves did a lot to change that. Unfortunately, we haven't yet reached a point where Native Americans are lead actors in films about the Native American experience in regard to history, and we don't have those sorts of big budget films. But maybe at some point we will. I would love to see movies about Sitting Bull, movies about Crazy Horse. I'm not talking, TV movies. Turner Network Television did several films as such in the 1990s. But these are really dramatic stories.
It would be great
that haven't been put in the limelight yet.
A Custer movie like Flags of Our Fathers and Sands of Iwo, or Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
Like one from each side.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah. Yeah, the problem with westerns like that, though, is everything's become political. It's become a political hot potato. Is Custer, a hero or an imperialist? Is he a gallant cavalryman or a murderer? So those would be the sorts of questions and debates.
We should go down into our comments section to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be an excellent 2-movie set that nobody would watch.
I would.
Dunkirk, entertaining but not accurate. You'll see that in our very last live stream. When we hit 25,000 subscribers, we stream. Well, we didn't stream. We did a watch along with Dunkirk. I think we might have neglected the movie for a bit.
Yeah,
but
my beef with Dunkirk, like you say, Lisa, it's very entertaining. It comes across very sterile to me, though. Modern buildings in the background, just a lack of debris and damage. It's like plopping World War II soldiers into more contemporary environments, and part of that, in my mind, just didn't work from historical perspective.
If you would have taken the whole movie, except all the beach scenes, and replaced all the beach scenes with the long shot from Atonement,
yes,
and then put an engine in Tom Hardy's plane at the end of the movie, everything would have been great.
Yes, and that's what it is. Son of the Morning Star. That's a really interesting TV miniseries from the early 1990s, in which Gary Cole, Bill Lundberg, off of Office Space, plays Custer, which is an interesting one. I think that's a pretty good one, although unfortunately it didn't find much of an audience when it was on TV.
I'm going to need to go ahead and ask you guys to attack on Saturday.
Yeah. Okay.
Spitfire gliding out of gas, shooting down the Nazis.
Yeah.
I saw another historian recently state that if he was high enough, he could have shot that plane down, but a shot before made it look like he was not at all. But when he lights the plane on fire, there's no engine in it. There's no engine in it.
Here's a shout out
he was gliding.
Yeah. Joe Seminole's on his raid with Burt Lancaster. That's can't go wrong with Burt Lancaster. He's he was the legit Hollywood man. I mean, the guy did his own stunts, and he can do it all. I mean, yeah, he really could.
Clive Dunn from the UK. I enjoy your channel, guys. It's always nice for some reaffirming pats on the back.
Yeah. Favorite Western for you both?
Back to the Future 3.
Yep. With Buford Janet. I hate Lenore. Okay. My favorite Western, it's hard for me to pick just one. I really like Unforgiven. I think which is Clint Eastwood's magnum opus, not only for the genre, but for him as a filmmaker. I'm also a big fan of the classic Westerns, The Searchers, the classic John Ford Western. I think the level of depth that John Wayne shows in that movie was certainly Oscar worthy. I think it's even perhaps a better performance than Rooster Cogburn and True Grit. But yeah, those are probably my two favorite. I'm a big fan of good Westerns.
Well, the Irish technical thinker says, I'm your Huckleberry.
There you go. Yep.
For both of you, what historical facts have been cemented by film that you wish everyone knew the truth about?
Well, we were talking about this beforehand. Just the fact that most big war movies are made in Hollywood, which is in the United States, leads to this belief in the United States that America won World War II essentially all on its own. And so I would, and I give Netflix a lot of credit for this, for putting out a lot of historical films, World War II films over the past 2 years that look at the experiences of the Netherlands and France and other countries and their efforts during World War II. But it's something I have to correct in the classroom quite often. Both of my grandfathers fought in World War II, and I'm certainly proud of they and the efforts of their generation. But we didn't do it alone, folks. And so Hollywood has the tendency to cast that assumption.
Yeah, but neither did they. Sorry. I was in the U.S. Army, so I'm a little biased. I actually have a shirt with an American flag on it that says "Back to Back World War Champs." Yep. So
it's not entirely wrong.
No, it's not.
Yeah, not singular champs.
It leaves out a lot of the facts, but it's true.
Yeah.
Man with No Name trilogy, Tombstone, and the both old and new Django.
Okay.
Any plans on reviewing some historical Latin American movies? There are some pretty good ones out there. You know what? If you have any suggestions, realhistory1944 at gmail.com. Send us a little summary there, and maybe we'll pick one and do after it.
Also, via our Facebook page, our Facebook page, we don't have quite the numbers on there as we do on YouTube. So if you'd like some additional updates and more content, check us out on Facebook as well.
I post history. Sometimes I post pictures of what we're working on, or my favorite thing is to take people who post ridiculous comments and make them feel bad. I will put it out there right now that if you post an ignorant or stupid comment on our channel, I will correct you. And that's me. I do that. So,
all right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Jared might send you a smiley face or something, but yeah. I go to town.
Most of the time, if people go on an 8-paragraph diatribe, I find the thing that can aggravate them the most is just put, an emoji down below and don't even give them the satisfaction.
My favorite thing is a lot on we did just the beach scene of Saving Private Ryan for June 6th. And there's a lot of comments on there like, you didn't even serve. You weren't in the military. How can you even speak to that? And I'm like, I make sure these videos go from him to the internet. I go through everything, and I was in Iraq. I don't. It's all good. It's good. Everything he says is approved by a person that you demand approval from. So.
Yes. And imagine how one-dimensional history would be if we only took it from the words of people who were there. Like, we wouldn't have any new books on anything if that were the case. We have one from Kyle here, and the question is, what's an underrepresented event/era of history, aside from the script you've worked on? Yes, indeed. That you think deserves a big budget movie production. And his choice is Hannibal versus Rome. And I think that's a great choice. I mean, what do you think is
I think I just brought this up right before we started. I said there is no, well, I guess there was just a miniseries.
About army mechanics?
Yeah, they should do army mechanics.
Yeah.
But there are very few big budget Fury, Saving Private Ryan, Hacksaw Ridge type movies about the 1942 campaign in Africa. Everyone says America didn't get in the war in Europe or in the West there until 44, but we'd been at it for 2 years by then.
Yeah.
And it was
Sicily,
most people
Italy.
don't know about it because
Sicily and Italy as well. I think an Ernie Pyle movie would be the great way to look at that. I'd say even more so, something that's really underrepresented in cinema is the role of the suffragettes. I think we are long overdue for a movie, a really good movie, about the quest for female enfranchisement in this country.
What a good time for Tracy to take over so I can go to the bathroom.
And there is, drinking too much during our episodes, that'll do it for you. Maybe she'll join us. Tracy's going to join us here, folks. Here you go.
I'm not going to run it up through my shirt on live.
Here's Tracy, power behind the throne. What do you think? What movie?
Oh, sorry. What was the question?
Underrepresented movies. I mentioned the suffragettes.
For those of you who don't know, I hated history in school. And I'm really bad at names and dates.
Okay, that's all right.
We have to think about that.
Okay, you think on it. There was a good HBO movie called Iron Jaw Angels, which in my mind is really the only movie that looks at suffragists. But even more immediately, maybe we should have something on the History Channel like the women who built America, rather than just the men who built America.
Yeah.
So there's many, many stories to take a look at. Yes, we will be continuing John Adams at a later point. A lot of it's just about getting our schedules to align. We have a question here about Master and Commander, the far side of the world.
The only thing I remember
one of my
about Master
favorites.
and Commander is the cello.
Oh, that's a great part. Yeah,
I started when I was in college. I started playing that in class strings on the cello, just because it's open strings for the most part at the beginning, and the cello or the string person was like, "You should take cello lessons."
There you go. And some people have deemed Master and Commander to be the ultimate bromance movie. What do you think?
I have not seen it in forever, but I could see that being a thing.
Yeah. So great suggestion here.
Are you coming back, buddy?
Yeah, give me 2 minutes.
All right.
He's
Andy will be back here just in a moment.
I want to see the comments while you're.
All right. Andy's looking at comments. Lots of agreement and consensus here on North Africa, Sicily.
Yeah.
Ernie Pyle.
I mean, Mary Poppins covers the suffrage movement in the UK.
Yes. In a rather fantastical way, right. I suppose. I
am a musical and Disney fan, and I've been trying to get these guys to do Sound of Music and other such things for a long time.
Yeah. No, I would. Well, we have something planned for some Disney films that we aren't going to release it yet. But
can I sit in too?
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Yes. Yeah. How does Pocahontas fit within the Disney princess formula in contrast
totally
to the story?
Accurate. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll be taking a look at stuff like that. Oh, are there any good films about Wax or Rosie the Riveter stories?
Oh!
Yeah, you have that series.
In Canada, it's not US, but in Canada, there's a series called Bomb Girls, which I didn't get to finish, but I did start watching, and it was fabulous. Be warned that the very first episode is a bit gruesome. So
it's on.
It's a great suggestion.
Be prepared for that. But Bomb Girls, awesome. I don't know how accurate it was, but I really enjoyed it because I'm a fan of those historic-based dramas.
If you want movies about women in World War II, oftentimes you have to go back to 1940s movies themselves. So Proudly We Hail with Claudette Colbert. If you go back to the cinema of the time, it's actually more well-rounded than what it is today.
Thanks, Lala.
There you go. Super Troop says, oddly enough, I think the Civil War is underrepresented on the big screen. Would love to see a resurgence. And I agree with you.
I do Civil War reenacting. So, I mean, I enjoy it. I think there hasn't been a lot of good stuff out in a long time. I mean, Cold Mountain was cinematically impressive, but I don't, as far as
20 years ago.
No!
Yeah. Yeah.
Ow!
Yeah.
That hurt me.
Yeah.
But it left a lot to be desired.
And something that I talk about when I look at Civil War cinema in the classroom, there have been several movies about slavery in the Civil War that have come out over the last 10 years, and none of them have found an audience. They have all flopped financially, if not critically as well, whether it be Free State of Jones, the recent Will Smith film, Emancipation. We're going to get all three of us in here now. And I think in many ways, the viewers are sort of weary of all of the political and complicated baggage that comes with the Civil War because we still continue to fight it today in one form or another. People want escapism when they go to the movie theaters. And a lot of the time, I just don't think they want a sermon on the unfinished, messy legacies of America's deadliest war.
Yeah, I do. We just had the music muster at Gettysburg. I direct a Civil War band. And we just did the music muster at Gettysburg last weekend. And we do 3 performances, and I break it up last 2 years into a 3-part series looking at the Civil War through history, which is a little different than what most of the other groups do there. And I do not a big chunk, but I do a chunk on, because we do marching through Georgia. So we talk about, why is the South still mad? It's not really a wonder when you really start to look at it like that.
Yeah.
If you want to know, just go to our videos on it. Look at the comments section.
Yes.
Well, we know that they are still mad.
Yes.
Why are they still
mad?
And
if you'd like to learn more about Tracy's Civil War band, you can go to the 46 PA. What's the official name of the Facebook page?
The 46th Pennsylvania Regimental Band.
There you go. If you'd like to see some of their performances, you can see it on their Facebook page.
Those videos.
All right. So we've passed the 1 hour mark. We'll try to do a few more questions here before we conclude.
For anyone who I've said, if private message us or email us or anything like that, later on at some point this evening, I will get back to you and I will have good answers for you.
So Dr. Rochter here. Do you ever find something not historically accurate in a film that ruins it for you, like the wristwatch in Glory or the camera stand in Young Guns, etc.?
Women in 1960s World War II films. All of them.
Yeah, they all have
the hair,
hippie,
the hair, the bullet bras, everything.
or
the
beads coming down from the room dividers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful. It drives me nuts every time. And these guys don't even notice it. Like they're like, let's talk about the uniforming.
No, I noticed. I noticed the bad 60s.
Do you not see her 1960s clothes?
No, I see that.
You never mention it because women don't matter, right?
Oh, I didn't say that.
I
just said we need a film about suffragists.
No, I'm just messing. That's fine.
And these are when I said, hey, we should just put a camera in front of you.
Okay. What do you guys think of the accuracy of Hyde Park on Hudson with Bill Murray? I enjoy that film immensely, but I've always wondered if it was more fantasy than history. When I visited Hyde Park a few years ago, I asked one of the park rangers about that film, and he gave me a rather disdainful look. And he was not a fan of the history in that film, especially the insinuation that FDR was having a sexual affair with one of his distant cousins on the estate around that time. So the park rangers at Hyde Park did not give that one high marks for history, unfortunately.
You guys are great, the three of you.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Well, we are friends.
We like you too.
Yeah.
Jared was my friend first.
Yeah. I got introduced to Jared
at our wedding.
At our wedding. And then I was away on army orders and she called me and said, hey, our friend wants you to do World War II reenacting with him. And I said, ooh, that means I get to buy $1,000.
That's how I lost my friend and my husband.
That's the story of our channel in a nutshell, folks. There you go.
This is Attack on the Archives. Lead designer, he mentioned the Jeremy Clarkson documentary, The Great Raid on the dry dock. I've seen all of those Jeremy Clarkson videos that he does, the documentaries on World War II greatest raids, and they are fantastic.
I didn't know Jeremy Clarkson did documentaries on stuff. Why didn't you share these with me?
You were asleep. Favorite U.S. uniform in all history?
Oh, Zouaves from the Civil War, right here behind us.
I mean, they're
Fifth New York. Yeah,
red pants that are barely pants.
Red baggy circus pants going into battle, looking like circus clowns. What's not to love? I mean, come on.
I will always have a soft spot for navy whites. I'm sorry.
There you go.
And my answer is the World War II 4-pocket enlisted uniform. They just can't beat that.
Yeah, no wonder they brought it back.
Yeah, they did. And I got out right before they gave it out. I got out in 2019. They gave it out like a year, 2 years later. I was like, no. But I have like 6 sets of original World War II ones.
For what it's worth, your uniform at our wedding was nice.
Oh yes, I wore my dress blues.
Has good Civil War vibes to it.
Yeah.
Wallace says ultimate bromance. It is what it is.
Any future collabs with Eric? Hang Tough was a great
with Eric Dorr. He would like me to team up for another book, and there's actually a third book that's it's partially done, and it's just a matter of gathering the rest of the materials that we need. But I will allow him to announce that at a future point.
It's about
what that may entail.
It's about how Ronald Spears ended the 1991 Gulf War.
No, it's not.
the Victoria Crosstalk. That's great. Thanks guys for the suggestions.
All right.
The Ike jacket. Ooh, yeah. I mean, that was pretty iconic.
It's
as somebody who's worn one out to several events, don't recommend.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I'm not built like a 1940s soldier.
You more than me.
Yeah.
Any recommendations on War of 1812 films? There's not many. The only one that I can think of is The Buccaneer, which has Yul Brynner starring as the famous Bayou pirate Jean Lafitte, and Charlton Heston stars as Andrew Jackson. If you want to see a fiery performance by Charlton Heston, that's a good one.
Real quick, I'll finish up here, just because we're way past time. But Super Troop, I know you've actually donated before in the past, so I'll go in depth on this. I can tell you the worst uniform, the ACU. When I have a very hilarious basic training story about this. When I got down to basic training in Fort Jackson in April 2007, everyone was wearing BDUs, your classic military BDU uniform. And I stood in line on my second or third day there, and they were sizing us and all this. And they handed me the ACU, and I said, "What is this?" And we were the very first class to be issued the horrible, infamous ACU uniform.
That's the digital one.
Yeah,
digital camo.
If you know, you know. But I was so disappointed.
Jim Plummer agrees.
3 weeks into basic training, all our Velcro pockets were just flapping in the wind, and we looked like
we sneak up on people.
Yeah. But anyway, I will go over the remaining comments if anyone comments after we're here.
I'll give one more answer here to William Smith. Who would we cast as a young Mary Todd? Okay, I didn't see that. But if I were to cast Mary Todd during the Lincoln administration in her later years, I would pick Marcia Gay Harden to play her. I'd have to think on who would play a younger Mary Todd. All right, so I just wanted to get that one in real quick.
All right. I will, any questions we didn't get to later on, I'll go down and post answers to them in the comments, the actual comments, once this video is logged as an actual video. And thanks for coming along, everybody.
Yeah, and thank you, Tracy, for being a guest co-host here.
And thank you very much for being so awesome and being along with this whole
and for your patience
adventure while your husband randomly drives to Gettysburg for 2 days, and you put the kids to bed all by yourself. But
which is like every night anyway.
Oh.
Sorry, I have weird hours. But
thank you everybody for tuning in. Keep it coming. Share the channel with your friends. Share it on social media. We really, really appreciate it. 52,000 strong. We hope to keep going onward and upward. Until we see you next time.
Stay curious.
There you go.